USA tornadoes, apocalyptic weather across the whole of the Midwest. And we've had a record of tornadoes, severe storms, towns left underwater, flooded, homes totally destroyed, worse than your worst nightmare. The weather has been extreme across the US, but relief is in sight. They've unleashed damaging tornadoes across central US and in Kentucky, Ohio, Texas, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina today, severe storms. Another twister left destruction in Texas during record-breaking stretch of tornadoes. The Midwest threatens to worsen, though, as heavens quake, quote-unquote. This is by Sebastian Ketley, Express UK reports tornadoes, lashing thunderstorms, and this is all the severe weather across Ohio, Kansas, Idaho, other parts, the Carolinas, Texas, Kentucky, and they're bound to get worse. This is according to Pastor Paul Begley's, in the long run, that is. This is according to the warnings given to us by Pastor Paul Begley because of the spiritual condition of people in the area, mankind in general. Extreme weather across the Midwest during this past week whipped up the destructive tornadoes in at least 8 different states. Indiana and Ohio were hit the worst, with a suspected 9 and 14 tornadoes respectively. The tornadoes claimed the life of at least one man, unfortunately, an 81-year-old resident of Salina, Ohio. An Indiana-based preacher, Paul Begley, from West Lafayette, is now warning that the earth is shaking and the heavens are quaking with the wrath of God. And, of course, if we are aware of what Emanuel Velikovsky has written in the 1960s, 1970s, before that 1950s, even Einstein was very fond of Velikovsky's writings. He claims that all the destructions coming back on earth have to do with mankind's spiritual condition. And we see that happening now. And this is not fake. Even the scientists have evidenced this. They've researched this and they have found correlations between persons, families, groups, a populace that can affect the outcome of their environment. Earth changes, weather changes, extreme weather changes, extreme earth changes, and the like. Now, on Wednesday, the record-breaking spate of storms entered its 12th days, a stretch of severe weather that has not been since the past 40 years. Pastor Begley filmed one of these thunderstorms from his own backyard, and he urged his devout followers, his Christian followers, to embrace for even more destruction because of the fact that people are not converting, not changing their life. I remember we were just chatting now. Okay, it's not gossip, just chatting. It was terrible, really. A beautiful young woman who was on television and talking to some young man, and the young man was, she was aware that the young man was trying to be keeping Christ's commandments as much as he could in this day and age of ultimate freedom, and you know what I mean, and the lifestyle that goes with it. And she informed him that she was totally liberal in every sense of the word, and God still loves her. Christ still loves her. And we were discussing that. And we said, of course, God loves all of us. But that does not mean we love him. Because if we loved him, we would try and keep his commandments. Of course he loves us. God is love, but he's also justice. And sometimes justice takes over in order to... it's like someone who's sick has to go to the hospital for an operation or a treatment. And you have to take out the, let's say you have a pus pimple somewhere. You have to remove the pus. I'm sorry, I don't want to be gross. It's just an example that just came to my mind. So we were discussing this beautiful young woman who was very young actually in age, but she looked 15 years older. Maybe it's because of her lifestyle that made her look worn and tired. Anyway, going back to the article, Paul Begley believes that, yes, the world is falling off. It's in a state of apostasy, is the dogmatic word for it. And that as long as mankind is like this, that's the way it's going to be. Extreme weather. It's not our imagination. His opinion, evidence of the biblical apocalypse unfolding before our eyes, and things are about to get worse. He says the earth is shaking and quaking, the winds are whipping, the storms are raging, the lightning bolts are flashing and striking, the sinkholes are opening, the tornadoes are tearing things up. The U.S. National Weather Service, NWS, warned of another violent, volatile, severe weather day from the southern plains and mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys into the Atlantic, and the weather forecaster said storms still threatening to trigger more tornadoes, more damaging winds and heavy rains, large hail, and even flash floods. And that's what's happening. Two areas of concern now extend from St. Louis to Dallas, and from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to New York City, from Philadelphia all the way down to Washington, D.C. Pastor Begley, who asked God to shelter him from the storm, read from Psalms 91 during the online sermon, and the biblical passage in question reads, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Most High. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust." Yes, Pastor Paul Begley, it's good that you're reminding us every single day. You should remind us that we should keep our trust and faith in the Lord and love Him more. Ask Him to make us love Him more every day. He says, "Surely He will save you from fowler snare and from deadly pestilence." Pastor Begley then said God Himself came to him and commanded him to warn people of apocalyptic weather and an unleashing of tornadoes to come. He says it's coming back today. Storms are already beginning to develop in Missouri, Oklahoma. Iowa's got to look, even everybody's open your eyes in Kansas. It's crazy what's about to unleash upon the nation. What I'm sitting here thinking of is what is happening to the farmers with all this that has been record rain and floods. Their poor animals in the beginning of March were frozen into the earth. They had to dig them up with little bulldozers, remember? Lift them with little Clarks. And even the animals. But, you know, we have the examples of the prophet Jonah, and the city of Nineveh who converted and who cried for their sins. And the destruction did not come to them, so it immediately stopped. That's exactly what the scientists have definitely proven. Basically, they prove what Joshua did when he prayed to the Lord during the battle with the Amalekites. He prayed to the Lord to make the sun stand still and the moon to stand still, so that He would give him more hours to get a victory. And that's exactly what happened. So we do have, each one of us is like a type of a Joshua, and our God is with us. So we do have the strength, and if we don't, we ask God to strengthen our faith, and we have the strength to pray for mild weather, to pray for good weather, for rains in due season, and sunshine, and fruitful, beautiful harvests. Now, I had gone on a pilgrimage yesterday. We have had terrible rains here in Greece as well. And we went to the pilgrimage of St. John the Russian. He martyred around the early 17th century. And I was driving my trusty Prius. It was a 2.5-hour ride from Athens, 2.5 hours back. And we were really astonished at it's a mountainous road after Halkida. It's a mountainous, you go up the mountain. It's about 650 meters above sea level. That's about less than 2,000 feet above sea level. And we were astonished at the amount of landslides and rock falls that had come onto the highway. Landslides and rock falls. And obviously it looked like a terrible situation. It's what we see happening in a lot of areas where we've had tremendous rains and mud flows and landslides and rock falls. I had never seen that many in my life, really. It's because of the tremendous rains and the extreme weather we've had worldwide. But this takes it all. This takes the prize. What's happening in the United States really takes the prize. I think it's the worst in the world. From what they say, the farmers, most of them will not be able to have a planting season this year. That's really devastating. Okay, now the weather forecast for tomorrow, January 1st, Saturday, is pretty good. Thank goodness we're getting a relief. And not pretty good, I mean, it's really hot, actually. And so hopefully things will dry up. These are the lows. The wind chill, wind around the west, Great Lakes, north of the Great Lakes. Sorry. Heat index, as you can see here. The gusts, precipitation around the south of the Great Lakes and into the northeast. UV index, there it is, the red is very high, and the purple is extreme. So most of the US is very high and extreme. And let's go to Sunday. Basically the same. Basically the same. And the gusts, and what's the UV index? You can see basically the same. So we are getting some relief. Thank goodness. And Monday. Let's see how the weekend's going to be. At least we'll have a chance to dry up a little bit. Yes. Nice and warm. Nice and warm. Chill is up above the Great Lakes in Canada. And the Midwest is getting some more rain there. On Monday. UV index, as you can see, all of the United States is high, very high and extreme. So please be careful of the floods, be careful of the mud, be careful of if you're passing by any, well, of course, for example, in Pennsylvania, any mountainous areas of mud flows and landslides and rock falls. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.